We work to reveal and challenge our assumptions, our long-held narratives, and build an understanding of the systems and structures of oppression that we may work to confront and eradicate them. These things are very complex issues with a long history to them. So you do need to do some digging, some listening, some reading to really get the complexities of these to help be a better ally. And then Y is for yielding. Allies are careful to avoid monopolizing, overtaking, speaking for, patronizing, romanticizing, agenda setting, and so forth. So yielding to minorities to speak and act is very important. So we're going to go through a bunch of strategies here to kind of help you be an ally. But there is some nuance. Don't take these to the extreme where you end up speaking over people. Allyship is all about creating an equity of power.
All right, so there are different types of allies within the workplace. Okay, there we go. Yeah, there are different types of allies within the workplace, and I'll just briefly go through all those right there. So starting with the sponsor, basically they like to share things with their colleagues, share goals, and other things like that, try to influence each other, like their influences and the other person's. And then next we have the champion. The champion is like an advocate, right? So advocate more for women, for more women, for people of color, members of underrepresented groups, so keynote speakers, things like that. And then we have the amplifier. The amplifier is when somebody proposes a good idea, right? And then, we give them credit for having such a good idea, right? Next we have the upstander. The upstander always speak up for something. So if they witness a certain type of behavior, they're the ones to say hey, that's wrong, shouldn't be doing that, things like that. Confidant is the one that listens, asks questions. They describe experience someone had, and they listen to that, ask questions about that, engage into a conversation, learning more about that. And then lastly, we have the scholar. The scholar is the one who investigates, read publications, listen to podcasts, learn more about what they could do to be an ally.
So now we're getting into our first activity here, because being an ally is all about dialogue and talking to people, learning about their experiences, because we don't expect you to know everything there is to know about the barriers that some people face, because you may not have learned those experiences, you may not have been exposed to them when where you grew up, what you've experienced. So, sorry, I'm going to turn around and read because it's a little small. So our first activity is based on a scenario. So this is very common. In a first-year level programming class, during group work time, one student is being left out by the rest of the group. They look uncomfortable. No one else in the group is talking to them or acknowledging them in any way, and they are often talking over any of their input. So, do we have the handouts? I'm sorry, we forgot the handout. So we're going to go back a slide so that you can remember who the allies in the workplace are. I know it was a lot. So you're going to think of one ally in the workplace and describe what they would do to make the situation better. Let's go back a slide. These are, once again, the allies in the workplace if you need a refresher. So just think about it, talk amongst yourselves, and if you would like to share, one solution, then please feel free. You want to run up and get it? Yeah, if you want to. Do you want me to go up and get it for you while you present the next slide? Or do we just, whatever?
I think it's just
whatever. It's okay. They'll live.
Yeah. If they have any questions, they can ask.
Yeah. We'll tell them if they want one. Come to the WiC's.
We were discussing how I, as an ally,
We'll skip the alternative.
Yes. But if you would like to participate. Okay, everybody. So would anybody like to share their ideas that they had? Would you like to share one solution?
The amplifier, trying to amplify
Excellent answer. Amplifying. So there are many ways that you can help this situation. So anything is better than nothing. Excellent.
All right, so now I think it's called unconscious bias, and there are different types of unconscious bias, well, bias just in general, and I'll briefly go through all those as well. So we have infinity bias, and that basically is like, a preference, meaning like a preference for people we are similar to in some type of way. So like, oh, okay, well, I only consider this person as just like me, but not somebody who's different. Confirmation bias, that's a tendency to look for evidence that backs up our initial opinion of someone. So saying like, well, this is what I think of someone because of like what I heard here is something. Conformity bias is a tendency to take cues from others to arrive at a decision rather than exercise our own and independent judgment. Contrast effect, basically comparing employees against each other instead of assessing them on their own merits and like what they can actually do. Like we really don't want to be comparing people within a workspace. And then lastly, gender bias, as the tendency to prefer one gender over another and assign roles based on stereotypes. And as you can see this image right here with the Heidi versus Howard, this was a study done at the Harvard Business School. And basically in this case, it's saying that, where people were asked to give their impressions on two people that were equally competent, Heidi was perceived as nurturing and how she's not the first to pick it in a workspace, even though she's competent. However, Howard was perceived to be more assertive and people wanted to work with him. You can see right there in that case study, gender bias played a huge role there, even though both Heidi and Howard are just as competent.
Okay, so next up, we have the bystander effect. And I'm sure you've all heard of this, in school, talking about bullying and stuff, but it's basically when you won't take action because the other people around you are not. And you kind of want to, conform to those social norms. You don't really want to stand out. But in doing so, you're actually not being like a great ally, and you could be causing some real hurt for somebody. So some of the ways that you can avoid the bystander effect. First thing is creating a distraction. So you can go up to the person who is potentially being hurt and take them to another place, engage in a conversation with them, anything to get them away from kind of the discrimination or hurt that they may be facing. And you can also ask them directly, like, are you okay? And then next is going to a place of authority. Maybe you feel like you don't have the power to confront somebody. Maybe it was a professor and you don't want to speak up to them. So there are plenty of resources on campus that you can go to that have structure and authority to, help the situation when you feel like maybe you don't have enough power. And then finally, you can ask for help. Power in numbers, if you recruit other people to help you in your cause, then you won't stand out as much and you can really help the situation. Okay.
All right, and then we have, there we go, intersectionality. Basically, this is how different social categorizations work together. It can apply to an individual or a group of people, and they may even create overlapping independent systems of disadvantages. So some things we can do to be an intersectional ally is to check our privilege. We likely have some privilege that some other people don't have. And so we want to be aware of things like that. We want to listen and learn from each other. Hear what people have to say, learn about what they have to say, things like that, and taking it into account. We want to work to create an inclusive environment, make everyone feel welcome, and don't exclude anyone. We want everyone to be together. And lastly, just be mindful of our language. Nowadays, we really want to be careful with what we say. We don't want to offend anyone saying, something like the wrong pronouns or things like that. We just really want to be mindful of how we communicate with each other.
And our next thing is an activity. We're not going to do this. We're going to skip this for time. But it's basically just another thinking dialogue exercise. to help you learn about other people and their situations, because that's really the root of allyship, is understanding how other people feel so that, you know, you can help them.
Okay, and here we have some, oh, there we go. Here we have do's and don'ts, you know, of being an ally. Usually we would go popcorn on some do's and don'ts, but just for the sake of time, we won't do that. But I'll just go through like some important ones. You know, we want to, you know, of course, listen to each other, ask how you can help, accept criticism, and, you know, of course, speak up when you ever hear anything that's like, speak up wherever you hear anything like that's biased. And then don'ts. An important one is, like, you know, don't expect credit for being an ally. You know, there's no reward out of being an ally. There's no competition to it. You want to be an ally because, like, you know, you want to support people, basically. And also, you know, apologize for, like, the actions of your identity group. I mean, you know, I'm sorry, yeah. Moving on. So right here is the pledge. We're not gonna say that. Usually this would be on the handout. I forgot the handouts, but if you do want a handout, they'll be in the WiC space. So you can come grab one if you're interested. The pledge will be on there. You can sign your name if you want to. It's up to you.
That ends the allyship part of this little lecture right here. Thank you so much for listening to that. Taking the first steps to becoming a better ally, listening. So now we're going to talk about our club real quick, what we do. So what is WiC? Women in Computing. I'm going to read our mission statement real quick. That gives us a good idea. Women in Computing is an all-inclusive organization. That means that we accept people of all gender identities and majors. Dedicated to promoting the success and achievement of women and all gender minorities in the academic and professional careers. And so we have 6 committees that you can join. The first is Allies, the one that we are on, and that is, our goal is to promote allyship inside of Golisano so that everybody can come here, feel welcome. We also have the Outreach Committee, so their job is to go out into the community. We deal with a lot of K-12, and to teach them computers. One of their favorites is computer security. They love to learn about that, so we include that in a lot of our curriculum. So if you're like, that sounds really fun, I want to teach children about cybersecurity and cybersecurity basics, come join it. We're having Girl Scouts come here on Saturday, tomorrow, and we're going to teach them some cybersecurity stuff. So super fun. They're going to get a badge from that. Then we have our Projects Committee, which is more hands-on. They build projects. So we have stuff like the Magic Mirror, handwriting robot. We're getting an embroidery robot working, a machine cabinet. Public relations, they deal with our social media, our PR. They set up some of our networking events. Then we have WiC Hacks, which is our hackathon that we have. It is to support our mission, so women and gender minorities. And then we have our events committee, and they set up events during our general meetings and outside of that. So like the Golisano Halloween Spectacular, we had a table at that. That was the events committee's job. And so they have their meetings once a week. This semester, they're all on Mondays and Fridays. So if you're interested, talk to us and we can tell you how you'd like to join. And just finally, what we offer just generally to anybody, we have tutoring. So we have a bunch of fantastic tutors from Monday to Thursday, pretty much all day, and they tutor in Java, C, Python, pretty much anything you can help for. They're fantastic. We have networking, connecting with other women, non-binary, and other allies in Jesus and beyond, so events like this. Then we have professional growth opportunities, so we have Alumni Connects and WiC Connects, which are 2 events that we hold. Alumni Connects us with, I was talking really fast there. I lost my train of thought. So Alumni connects us with previous alumni from WiC's, and we talk about their career and what they're doing now. WiC Connects is more internal, so we talk to professors and faculty here at Golisano, and that's nice. We have a whole dinner for that. Conference opportunities, so we can get sent out to do fun things, you know, expenses paid, go to New York City, go to Grace Hopper, super cool. WiC Hacks, we already talked about it, their hackathon. It's coming up in spring. So anybody can volunteer, but only those who identify as female, non-binary, or femme can submit a project because we want to support their ability to create. But you can definitely volunteer if you don't identify as that. We have a dedicated WiC space in Golisano 2350. It's our new one this year. It's very nice. We got a couch in there now. You can see it. And so much more. Our general meetings are at 6:30 to 7:30 on Wednesday nights. Committee meetings happen all throughout the week. Well, not this semester. It's all on Mondays and Fridays. But that's it. Thank you so much. There is a question.
If I wanted to volunteer, who would I reach out to and how would I get involved?
It depends when you want to volunteer at. So if you join our Slack, which is, it's just like WiC-RT. It's something.
If we go to the room,
If you go to the room, you definitely can. So if you'd like to volunteer.
you can probably get us resources for that, like contacting you guys and stuff like that.
Oh, absolutely.
Probably send it to my email, or then I'll just
Yeah.
send it within our
Definitely.
private Discord.
We'll send it to you. Yeah. So you join the Slack. If you come to the general meeting on Wednesday, we go through each committee and the committee heads so you can get their contact information directly from there. In our Slack, we do have the slides posted each week, so you can get it from there too. We got to get you the Slack first. We have a newsletter weekly too.
Any other questions? Kind of open it up to a little bit of a Q&A section. Any questions? Okay, awesome. So since it's Quincy and Mallory's first time presenting here at RITSEC, I'd like to offer them the RITSEC lanyards. So give them a round of applause. There you go.
Thank you so
And here you go.
much.
So, all right, thank you to WiC for a great presentation. Next up, we have Mentorship Group 2 with War Driving with Kismet. Give a round of applause. All right. Let's go, baby. I'm already in the Zoom.